Hello and welcome to the Ensemble PSG Podcast. I'm your host, Ed, and on today's show, we are handing out some awards. That's right, 2025 was a historic year for PSG, and since literally every other media outlet has an award show, apparently, we thought, why not us? But before we get started and joined by my guest, remember that you can subscribe to Ensemble PSG on Substack for more podcast episodes and great content. Just visit psgtalk.substack.com to get started. All right, joining me today is longtime PSG Talk contributor, Marc Damon. Marc, welcome to the PSG Talk Awards. Happy New Year to you. I know we kind of want to get started and just talk about 2025 as a whole for PSG before we get into handing out some silverware. So why don't you kick us off and look back at 2025? What stands out to you? What are the things that listeners need to know about the year that was?
Well, thanks for having me as always. I kind of wanted to put 2025 in a bit of a, I wanted to kind of make a bit of a time capsule, and this certainly will serve as that. Without hesitation, 2025 is the biggest, most historic, best year in the history of Paris Saint-Germain. In its 55-year history, there has never quite been a year like this. And that's obviously shown in the silverware, winning 6 major trophies, winning the Trophée des Champions in January against Marseille, winning the French Cup against Reims, winning the league for the, I believe, 13th time. I think we're at 13 at this point. Then obviously the Champions League, which was the trophy that we all dreamed of winning as fans and as a club dreamed of winning. It's the trophy that puts you on the map as a club. It makes you one of the elite in Europe, and you're never really quite an elite until you win it. So finally getting that, and we'll probably get into some more detail on that as we go. That was the highlight, the moment, and it just put everything else over the top. Obviously, going to America, making it to the Club World Cup final. Personally, I got to see this, I got to see the greatest team in PSG history play not once, but twice. Got to see him win, got to see him lose the final to Chelsea. Very little time off. They win the Super Cup against Tottenham on penalties. Good start, decent start to 2025. The second half, the team trying to stay healthy, trying to keep pace in the Champions League. They're third after in the league after 6 games played. Second in Ligue 1 behind Lens. I think PSG will eventually take that over once they get healthy. My hope is that that's what will happen. And then you cap off the year with the Intercontinental Championship, which was really the real World Cup, for us fans, if you know, against Flamenco in extra time and penalties. Yeah. So that's 6 trophies. It's only been done twice before. Barcelona did it, I believe, in 2008 or 2010, one of those years. And then Bayern Munich did it in 2020.
Yeah, more recently, yeah.
And PSG have only been the 3rd team to do that, so that puts you in an historic place. For the second time, a PSG player wins the Ballon d'Or based on their performance at PSG. Obviously, Messi won it when he was playing for PSG because of the World Cup. So it's hard to really it doesn't feel like we sort of own that one. But Ousmane Dembele really won the World Cup, won the Ballon d'Or based on his performances at PSG. So that's a major, major thing. 9 players out of their starting 11 made the Ballon d'Or shortlist. The only ones to miss, I think, were the center backs, right? I don't think Pacho made it. Did Marquinhos? I don't think Marquinhos made it either. But so 9 out of your starting 11 make the 30-man shortlist. Vitinha finishes 3rd in the Ballon d'Or, so you have two of the top 3 finishers are PSG players. So yeah, I think that's all the numbers and the stats. They scored 176 goals.
I think it was 178.
178. They were 2 off the all-time record. So they had 178 over the course of 2025, which is, again, second all-time. That's insane. But, the stats only capture a certain amount of it. But I think it's important to just lay that out at the beginning. This was the year. When we all look back and when football fans look back 20, 30, 40 years from now, there's really only 3 letters you're going to need to know when talking about the year 2025, and those are P, S, and G.
Well said. And I think a lot of these victories came in different ways. They had to go to penalty kicks. They were commanding victories. There were come from behind victories. There were moments when we thought we wouldn't qualify for the knockout stage. It was a roller coaster of a year. And then for it to kind of all come together in 6 trophies, like you just said, I mean, it was everything for PSG supporters like you are and myself and everyone else listening and everyone on social media. I mean, this is the year that we had all been just waiting for and crying out for and just desperately wanting. And then for it to happen, especially with the backdrop of Kylian Mbappe leaving, for us to pull this off, it was a magical year. I don't know if we'll ever see something like that in our lifetime. I hope we do. Maybe this year, who knows? But it was just a special year. And sometimes I'll just be kind of daydreaming and thinking back to that night against Inter Milan and we're winning the Champions League. It's just something you've dreamed about for so long, and for it to actually happen, it feels at times surreal, but it happened for sure. And we're going to kind of reward a lot of the players and the moments and the goals here with this award show. So let's get into it, Mark. And now a lot of these award shows, they have these big musical numbers and all that. And, we didn't have the time or the budget for any of that. We thought about maybe have Orleson come on to perform his song criticizing Kylian Mbappe's ownership of Cannes. But ultimately, we just decided to focus on what's important, and that is the award. So without further ado, Mark, let's present our first award. You ready?
Yeah. So we tried to have some fun with this.
Yes.
Now, what we're going to do is we're going to give you the award. We name them after certain things in PSG. You'll see when you see, and you might have agreements or disagreements on who we name these after. But just remember, this is all made up. So argue with your mama. Don't argue with us.
Yeah.
We'll talk it through, and then we'll try to come to a consensus. We don't. We may not 100% agree, but we'll come to something like a as good a consensus as we can.
Yeah, we'll make our argument if we disagree and see if we can convince the other one.
So we are going to start. I'm just looking at the list here. What I want to start with. Let's go lightest to heaviest. Let's go less important to more important, depending on how you look at it. We are going to start with the ESPN FC Award. And this is given to the best/worst transfer rumor. So the reason, for those of you who don't necessarily know the lore, yes, PSG Talk does have lore after 10 years of existence. We've sort of had a love-hate, mostly hate relationship with the soccer show / ESPN FC coverage over the years. I think, what did Craig Burley call us that one time?
He said we are a touchy bunch, Mark. He called us a touchy bunch.
Yes, we as PSG fans were a touchy bunch. And all those years of watching them pratball over PSG over the years, and we always love it when PSG won a big Champions League match. Always watch ESPN FC to see them all try to like explain it, and they were shocked, and all the English football mafia sort of poo-pooing it. And they can't really talk very much anymore now, can they?
No, they can't. No, they cannot. They can't talk too much, and I don't know how much of PSG they're even watching these days. Now they've got Mbappe over in La Liga, so they're quite content with all that. But I like it. Let's start with the
now.
Yes, very much so. So the ESPN FC for the best/worst transfer rumor. I'll go first, Mark, and this is a recent one. The Vitinha to Real Madrid transfer rumor is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. The player couldn't be happier in Paris. He's winning everything. He's on track to win a Ballon d'Or. He's under contract to 2029. But because they are Real Madrid and because they're a little bit in turmoil right now and losing matches that they shouldn't, they want to use their media contacts to drum up some drama and get PSG unsettled and maybe give their fans some hope that they may sign Vitinha. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen at all. And so I just think that's the most ridiculous. So my ESPN FC best worst transfer rumor goes to that one. What say you?
Well, I would say I agree to an extent, because what's funny is what's funny is that after all this time, it seems like Real Madrid are PSG and PSG are Real Madrid now. They seem to have switched bodies, right? And it's just really funny reading the Real Madrid X accounts, getting all upset at Kylian and how Kylian is, ruining the chemistry of the team and he only cares about himself. And it's just fun. I'm as long as it lasts, I'm having fun with that. And what's really funny is that the three of them, Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, tried to run Vitinha out of town in his first year, if everyone remembers correctly.
Messi said that he was very physical in training. He had some unkind words towards Vitinha.
Yes. So this was a situation where they didn't even really, why would Vitinha want to go back to being yelled at by Mbappe? That seems unnecessary. The one that stuck out to me, because it really was sort of one that sort of almost became a thing, then didn't become a thing, was the Mo Salah to PSG at the beginning of the January of last year, really.
Yeah.
Where the whole thing was that Salah's contract was running down and he was using PSG as leverage to try to get a better deal with Liverpool. And, I actually think for the most part that actually may have gone somewhere a little bit. But Salah gets his money and he has fallen off the cliff this year. So a transfer that PSG 5-6 years ago would have done 100 times out of 100. I think getting Kvaratskhelia as opposed to Mo Salah was probably the better decision and choice. So that would be my nominee.
And who knows, maybe that rumor could happen. He's wanting out of Liverpool. We know that kind of blew up last month, I think it was. So who knows? So ultimately, Mark, I don't know. Who do you want to give this award to? Is it the Mo Salah rumor that still is going on, or is it the Vitinha one that seemed pretty ridiculous?
Oh, do I get to make the choice here?
I'll let you make the choice on this one. You'll give me one later down the road.
The award is heading to London, I believe. Because I think the Salah one had a little more legs to it than this Vitinha one. I don't think this Vitinha one there's anything to it.
You mean heading to Liverpool, not London?
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know. One of those towns. Liverpool, yeah. It's headed to Liverpool. Jamie Carragher can deliver it to his house.
There you go. Congratulations to that transfer rumor. I'm going to pick the next one here. Let's get to our next award. This is one I really like. This is the award, the Hechtor Award for Best Kit of 2025. There's a lot to choose from. We know PSG, they come out with 4 kits pretty much every season, sometimes more. This one was pretty easy for me, Mark. It's got to be the navy blue Jordan brand with the wings. It's such a special kit. They've worn it in so many memorable games. It's beautiful. It's sold out. I don't know how you can make an argument against it, but I'll let you try. But that's the award for me. That's the kit.
Well, there's no argument from me. A lot of real amazing memories in that kit. Going to Liverpool, winning in that kit, winning against Manchester City at home in that kit, winning. I think they wore it against Brest, and they scored like 5,000 goals in that game. They wore it in the what was the game? The last game they wore it against Stuttgart. They wore it at Aston Villa. They wore it at Liverpool. I went to the PSG store on Fifth Avenue last week, and I was thinking maybe I would see a Jordan Wings jersey, but nope, they've been sold out for months. So it's the fact they're still selling it, and it's still. I think it's I think it is in fact one of the highest selling kits in the history of the club.
And if you know Michael Jordan, the Wings logo was on his very first signature shoe, I think back in '85. So that's where the Wings came from. And of course, Jordan brand, they've implemented that. It is an iconic shirt. That is one that's going to be a collectible 20, 30 years from now. Kit collectors are going to be tracking that one down. That is one everyone wants to have in their collection.
So I think that's unanimous.
Mark, over to you. What's the next category we're getting to?
Okay, so more in the fun category, PSG and brand partnerships. So speaking of Jordan, we thought we would name this award after the Jordan PSG partnership, which has been around since 2017, 2018. Think about 2018-ish.
I think so. It was with the black kit.
Yes, which I have, by the way, which I did buy one of those. I would say one of the most successful partnerships in the history of the club, in terms of marketing, in terms of the brand awareness. I mean, I went to the store. They're selling the Jordan Wings jacket for like $1,000 plus.
Oof.
So
Ouch.
it's been an absolute game changer for PSG, which is why we're having this sort of we are acknowledging PSG's corporate partners with this. So I want you to take the first.
Yeah. So for me, I went with, just because I think it's really cool and unique and you don't normally see this, the WWE and PSG partnership. We did a whole podcast episode about this. You're a big wrestling fan. I like to watch it. Maybe not as much, but I do enjoy it. I think we recorded that back in August when PSG announced there was a long-term collaboration. And they said it's going to explore, opportunities across multiple areas and original content and merchandise. I think at some point in the store, there was like a PSG championship belt that you could buy. There was all this like fan engagement initiatives, like a lot of big fancy words. But as we were talking about before the show started, we haven't really seen a whole lot from this partnership. It was just kind of like, hey, we're doing this thing, and kind of fizzled out. So I like the concept of it. We just haven't seen much from it. So I'm very much can be convinced to go another direction if you've got a good partnership.
Yeah. So I think, I actually have it. They have a Paris Saint-Germain corporate partners list of the different partners and sponsorships that they have. Obviously, the big ones are Nike and Qatar Airways. Then they have their premium partners, which is like Visit Rwanda, QNB, Ooredoo, Snipes, the ones they have on the jersey. But my nominee, just because I think it's the coolest one they've done this year, is they did this partnership with Stanley, the water bottle company. And they're not as, Stanleys were really popular for the last few years. And I actually have one of them that I bought one, and it's I don't even drink out of it. It's just so nice. You can display it in your house. And it's a beautiful looking water bottle. I'm just going to say. So
yeah, this is kind of an American thing. Everyone in America carries a water bottle. They're constantly drinking water. And so for the past couple of years, Stanley has kind of risen to the top of all these other water bottle brands. And they're kind of like the go-to, the most viral, whatever. You can get them in different colors. And so I think I'm with you. I need to get this water bottle. I'm glad that you said it's worth it and it's beautiful to look at, because I've got Stanleys and I don't have a PSG Stanley though. So I think we give the award, the Jordan Brand Partnership Award, to Stanley. It's really good. I like it.
I do too. Congratulations to Stanley.
Congratulations, Stanley. All right, let's get to another award. I'm kind of looking at our list here. Let's see, what do we got? What do we want to go with? We didn't have a sponsorship for this one, but I want to get to the most underrated moment of 2025. Everyone, it's easy. What is the best moment of 2025? Of course, we know it's winning the Champions League. But what is the underrated moment, Mark? Who do you give the word to?
So it really depends on your definition of when we say underrated, what we mean. And I think what we mean is when we talk about 2025, there's a lot of moments that we talk about. I'm thinking about the moments that are crucial, that we don't necessarily that don't come to the top of everyone's mind. And I think, and I'm pretty strong on this one, I think. The second leg of the quarterfinal of the Champions League against Aston Villa. PSG scored 2 quick goals. They go up 5-1 on aggregate. And at that point, you're thinking, this is going to be very easy. Aston Villa are going to crumble at our feet. And it's a nice, easy trip to the semifinals. But something weird happened, right? You get a sort of a long-range goal out of nowhere that deflects off of Pacho, makes it 5-2. Then you get the John McGinn shot from way outside the box, makes it 5-3. They get a quick goal after that. And all of a sudden, all of the demons start crawling back, right? And you're starting to think, oh my God, they're going to actually blow this.
I think Marco Asensio had a chance.
It was insane. Like, all of the memories as us as PSG fans had of all of the years where we blew it, where we choked. And you could even, I was pacing the apartment, pacing the house, and I'm hearing the English commentators are starting to bring up all the old memories, right? They're going back into the bag of tricks, right? Oh, remember this, remember that. PSG are wobbling, and lo and behold, there are 2 saves, and I don't know if I can't remember exactly who shot them, but Gianluigi Donnarumma makes 2 insane saves and keeps PSG in front. And to me, it's those 2 saves that he makes. The one that's on the header that's looping right for the top corner, the top right corner that he paws away at the last second. The one where he dives low. There's another one where he dives low. It might have been on Asensio. But to me, if that doesn't happen, if those goals go, if one of those goes in, we're having maybe a totally different conversation. Which is why I can't, I can't go with any other moment, because to me, I don't think all of this happens unless Gianluigi Donnarumma stands tall in that moment and makes those saves.
You're right. Yeah, people, if it's a Donnarumma moment, everyone always goes to the Liverpool performance. This Aston Villa one is overlooked, so I think it is a good contender for underrated moment. You're right, absolutely. Towards the end of that game, PSG were under fire. All the history would have said PSG are giving up a goal there, but Donnarumma was incredible. That one's going to be hard to beat. I'm going to throw one out there, and then we can discuss. This was over the summer. You think underrated, you think of a tournament probably a lot of people didn't have on their radar, and that was the Club World Cup. And yeah, they played Seattle Sounders and Botafogo and teams like that. But, in the semifinal, PSG faced off against a real big team in Real Madrid. And they got to take on their old friend, Kylian Mbappe. And this is coming off PSG winning the Champions League. And I thought that the reason I chose this match for my underrated moment is that it sort of closed that chapter. PSG defeated Real Madrid so soundly. They beat them 4-0. They ran circles around them. It wasn't even close. And I thought it closed the chapter on the whole PSG Kylian Mbappe thing. There's nothing now that Kylian Mbappe can do. He can't win the Champions League before them, and he couldn't even beat them head-to-head in sort of a made-up tournament where you would think Real Madrid would have been better than losing 4-0. And so for me, I thought that this for PSG was just a way for them to really just put their foot down and say, Kylian Mbappe, you left us for dead. Not only did we win the Champions League, we beat you head to head in the semifinal of another tournament, and now we can move on. And for me as a fan, I know we talked about him a little bit, and you were talking about there's some drama over Real Madrid. I don't care nearly as much. Whatever he does now, it's never going to surpass what PSG were able to do. So that's why this match in particular was kind of my underrated moment. But I kind of like where you're going with the Donnarumma, and I think what makes it even more underrated, your choice, is that Donnarumma's not at the team anymore. PSG let him leave. They didn't want to pay him the money, and so I think that even adds to the lore of what he was able to do on that night at Aston Villa.
Yeah, I think mine is a little better. But
I would say so.
I was at the Real Madrid game. I love that. I love that you bring that up. That was fun.
That's right.
That was a really, you talk about PSG being at the peak of their powers at that Champions League final. I think they were also really at the peak of their powers. I think it was the second best performance from them during that sort of stretch, right?
You could tell they wanted that one. They wanted that win.
Yeah.
Even though the tournament as a whole. Yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's a shame that they ran out of gas in the final. It's a shame. Because it's very obvious that Chelsea are not world champion caliber team, right?
As they just sacked their manager.
Yes. Apparently winning the world championship doesn't get you a lot of job security anymore. But, it's not a terrible thing. It's just a shame. It would have been nice. Because PSG really are the best team in the world until someone knocks them out in the Champions League, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? So for that award, we did not have a sponsor. So if you would like to sponsor that award, go ahead and you know how to get in touch. Mark, where should we go next? What award do we want to do?
So I wanted to do something about the academy because it seems like PSG has obviously been able to attract great players into their academy, and they're really putting a focus on it in 2025 and into 26. So I want to go, and I named this award after, I think, our longest standing member of the club. Was there for 20 years as an academy player and as a first team player. The Presnel Kimpembe Award for Best Academy Player of 2025. We had as nominees, they needed to play at least a semi-significant amount of minutes. So David Bowley's not involved in this. Matthias Jangal is not involved in this. The four nominees are Warren Zaire-Emery, Quinton Jantu, Ibrahim Mbaye, and Seni Mayulu. So who would be your pick out of those four? Because I'm starting to think I think I know who mine is. But
yeah, we have an award coming up later that I'm going to give to another player. So for this one, I am going to go with Warren Zaire-Emery. Over this year, there was a lot of questions about him. And I think this was he was kind of at that fork in the road with his career. Was he going to maybe keep going down and declining and maybe having to go out on loan or a transfer? Instead, he's turned things around. He's turned things around so much that he's sort of filled in now for Achraf Hakimi, who was injured, and now he's at AFCON. He's filled in for him at right back and has played pretty well. There's been moments here and there, but I just think overall he's really elevated his game. He's taken it on as a challenge. I think working with Luis Enrique is doing a world of difference for him. And I'm really excited to see where he goes in 2026. But for me, I think he's the Academy Player of 25.
Yeah, so I think with him, I have him pegged for another award coming up. And I feel like he won the Academy Play. If we did this award in the past, I think he would have won it multiple times. So to me, it's almost like, and this is not a hard and fast rule or anything, but it's more like I want to sort of see which players sort of from the Academy really came to the forefront in 2025. And I think the winner for me would be Seni Mayulu. Because Seni Mayulu went from being in the Academy at the start of the year to being a sub off the bench during the Champions League run to scoring a goal in the Champions League final.
Yeah.
Which I think he might have been one of the youngest players to score since, like, it was amazing. Like, Desiree Doué scored at 19, and then Seni Mayulu scores at 18, right? So you have, I think PSG would probably be the only team in the history of the Champions League final to have 2 goal scorers under the age of 20. I'm pretty sure I just pulled that stat out of my ass, but I'm pretty sure it's true.
Yes.
And more than that, he's turned into a semi-regular starter. Like, he's played serious Champions League minutes this year.
Absolutely.
He's been the false 9 in place of Ousmane Dembele, who's been out for a good amount of time. So I think Seni's my pick, because I think he fits into sort of what we're talking about in terms of bringing someone up from the academy and having them become a regular contributor.
And I think what we can do here, because we're sort of flip-flop. So we have another award for the Marco Verratti Most Improved Player Award. And both of these players that we're talking about, Warren Zaire-Emery and Seni Mayulu, those are our choices. So for me, Most Improved, I've got Seni Mayulu and you've got Warren Zaire-Emery. So I think for the Academy Player, let's give it to Seni Mayulu. And then for Most Improved, let's give it to Warren Zaire-Emery. So we'll kind of do 2 awards there. Why for you is Warren Zaire-Emery the most improved?
I think coming out of the academy in 2022, PSG just go back in context, right? PSG had some of the worst bench depth of any top European side, right? Like, they just, I mean, I'll go back with the power of the Google machine to what they had in 22 and 23, right? And just the players that they had and the lack of depth. Their bench included such illuminaries as Timothy Pembele, Carlos Soler, Renato Sanchez, Hugo Ekitike before he was a good player.
Yeah.
Danilo Pereira, Juan Bernat. It was not a good team. Like, it was genuinely a bad roster.
Yeah, that was painful listening to.
And Warren Zaire-Emery came in, and he was of those, like, they had El Shadale Bitsiabu, who actually, I think, played minutes in a Champions League round of 16.
He did,
it was bad. But he stood out as somebody who could possibly belong, right? And then he has a really good 22-23, right? The first year under Emery or whatever. He had a pretty good year the first year under Emery, but not great, right? The expectations on him were so high, coming out at 16 and 15 and getting the contract and being sort of the face of PSG's academy. And he sort of wasn't very good last year, right? Like, he wasn't somebody that made a lot of contributions, in my opinion. And it was coming to a point where you thought that maybe he would have to be loaned or he'd have to be transferred out if he wasn't going to improve. And I think coming into the second half of the year, I think he's the player of all of them who, Ashraf gets hurt. They have to play him at right back. Fabian gets hurt for a while. Neves gets hurt for a while. So really, Warren Zaire-Emery has become sort of PSG's 12th man, right? Like, you have your starting 11, and then he's like the next guy off the bench, right? If any of those guys go down, he's in.
Yeah. You
and
put him in pretty much anywhere other than maybe a striker or something like that.
He's been really good. Like, and I did not think he would be able to play the right back position the way that he has. No. And, he's out there shutting down Nico Williams of Athletic Club. He's out there, doing a good job against good players. And I think that he deserves for, we talk about like improved, right? And it's a subjective thing, right? I think Kang-In Lee is an honorable mention. I think he's become a valuable rotation guy where he wasn't before, where he was sort of a guy that was sort of forgotten about. I think Nuno Mendes, even though he was already great, I think he's sort of taken his game to a totally different level this year. But yeah, I think it's Warren Zaire-Emery.
Yeah, so we've got Warren Zaire-Emery. He's going to win our Marco Verratti Most Improved Award. And then for the Presnel Kimpembe Best Academy Player, congratulations to Seni Mayulu, who, you mentioned the goal in the Champions League final. He also had a goal against Barcelona. I think he started in that match. He's made 12 appearances in Ligue 1, 5 in the Champions League. He's especially here lately as we've had some injuries and Luis Enrique's had to shuffle things around. He's getting a lot more minutes than I thought he would. So I'm glad that he's getting an award, and Warren Zaire-Emery, who's turned things around as well. Mark, we've only got a few big categories left. Where should we go next?
So I'm looking at it.
Should we go goal of the year?
The Zlatan Ibrahimovic goal of the year.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we should.
And we have to kind of preface a little bit here, because we talked about this. Is it the best goal, like skill-wise, or is it the goal that was scored in the biggest moment? For me, as we talked, it is just based on skill. It could be a match against, Stade Brestois. It doesn't matter the opponent, but this the skill level of the goal. Is that how you looked at it?
So I think there's different categories here, and I'm going to call an audible here, right? I think you almost break it into three separate categories, right? Like, there's pure skill. There's the sort of the Zlatan where we're talking about just pure skill, right? No matter what situation, it could be against anybody. It could be a random game in an exhibition. The best skill goal is the Zlatan. Then you have sort of the best team goal, right? Like, just pure team brilliance, where maybe the actual finishing product isn't spectacular, but the build up and everything leading up to it was. And then you have skill plus moment, right? The best skill goal and the most high leverage moment.
Okay.
So that's how I broke it down into those three categories.
Well, let's do the best team goal then first. What sticks out to you?
So I think we can agree on best team goal. So to me, the best team goal, and I'm going to name this the Chupo, and I'm going to explain why, right? Because to me, before the Champions League final, before we got to all that, to me, the most important sort of best team goal in most sort of important goal in that sense was the one that Choupo-Moting scored against Atalanta in the Champions League quarterfinal in 2020.
Yeah.
So we'll call it the Chupo. Why not? To me, that was the Desiree Doué third goal. Actually, you can almost split it between the Desiree Doué first goal in the 20th minute where Pacho plays the ball off the line and Kvara plays it to Dembele, Dembele across to Doué. You call that one, or the one where Vitinha takes the ball, dribbles through two people, passes it to Usman, who backheels it back to Vitinha, who plays it forward to Doué, who finishes for the third goal. So I think it's like a combination of those two, right? To me, go into sort of best team goal category, right?
Okay. Those are good ones. I'm going to throw another one out there.
Yeah.
Is the goal against Stuttgart, Bradley Barklow's goal against Stuttgart. It was last January in the Champions League. It was the opening goal. Dembele whipped in a corner, and Doué had this just brilliant little flick. Looked like Zlatan out there. He just stuck his leg up. His back was to the goal. He flicked it, and then Barklow basically from point-blank range just headed it into the back of the net. I thought that was a great team goal. You don't see very many off a corner for PSG, so that one stood out to me.
Yeah. I think you best could describe that as a scorpion back heel.
Yes, yeah. He made the goal. He made the goal for me. That move right there.
I think that was the moment where, and this is not an award, but like sort of the oh shit, he's that guy moment, you know, like the he's him moment with Doué. You're like, oh, because he hadn't really done that up until that point, right? He'd been sort of in and out of the lineup. That when Doué made that play, when he makes that scorpion back heel, you're sort of like, oh shit, he's him. He's a real dude.
It's like when Zoolander broke out Magnum. It's like, whoa, baby.
It's like, it's just something different. Like you knew that kid was going to be special once that happened, right? And I like that one. I just think I'm going to give it to the Doué second goal in the Champions League final.
Yeah, it had team goal and the moment as well. It's hard to argue against that one.
Then I'm going to give the pure Zlatan to João Neves for his hat trick against
that's a good
Toulouse.
one. It's a good one.
All three goals, two overhead kicks, and then a goal on a one-timer outside the box. You don't get a better hat trick than that. And all three were great. All three were world-class goals. So I think, to me, from a pure skill standpoint, I think those are the ones.
I can't argue against that one. Neves. I can't argue. We're going to give it to João. If I could just throw one out there, it would be just a couple months ago, Nuno Mendes had a free kick goal against Lille. Yeah. And boy, he just blasted that thing. I mean, it wasn't on the edge of the box. I mean, it was a good distance out. And the way he just scored that goal in the free kick was special from a left back, which you don't normally see. So anyway, honorable mention to him. I thought that was a brilliant goal.
And then if we're talking skill plus moment, so if we're breaking into those three categories, to me, skill plus moment was Fabian Ruiz's goal against Arsenal at the Parc des Princes in the second leg. Because that's a play off the chest, volley, swipe it with your left foot, big moment. PSG had been under pressure for the first 20 minutes of the match. Arsenal had a bunch of opportunities to tie up the tie, couldn't do it. Fabian makes it 2-0, and by that point, you're starting to dream of a Champions League final in Munich. So I think from a pure skill plus moment, which sort of covers both categories, I think that one would be the one.
Didn't Desiree Doué score the deciding goal kick or penalty kick against Liverpool? I mean, nothing special about a penalty kick, but like you're talking about a moment for a young kid at Anfield in that moment. Maybe another honorable mention.
Yeah, I think that one was special too, because that's as cold, just, you know, what you can even remember it. He just walks up, one breath, you know, bang, right in the left corner. Just easy,
I was in a puddle just watching it. Like I was just melted. I was like, oh my God, I can't handle this. And for him being, you know, as young as he is, not ever been on that stage before, to step up and so calmly score that. But I think Fabian Ruiz had a lot more to do with the, you know, chesting the ball down. And I'm looking at the goal right now. He had 1, 2, 3, 4. He had 5 Arsenal defenders circling him. And then the way that ball was able to find its way through the other defenders, it was a special goal. So I can't argue with you there.
And I'm adding categories as we go here because Desiree deserves something, and he's going to get the Neymar Jr. He's Him award. You know, when somebody does something big, and I think we're going to put his scorpion assist and that goal and that penalty kick against Liverpool in sort of the He's Him category. Remember that time when Neymar, when he first got here against Toulouse, he dribbled through 3 guys and scored?
Yes, yeah.
Neymar had that ability to sort of be like, he's him, right? You knew it, you could see it, and to me, I think Desiree Doué gets the He's Him award this year, unless you have any objections.
No objections. I think he absolutely needs to have one. Let's get to another fun category here, and this is the Blaise Matuidi Goal Celebration Award of 2025.
Yeah. So you want to run through some of the nominees? The rule is you have to have something of a signature celebration, and we don't necessarily we don't have a ton of those, but
I think you got to put Vitinha with the hairband twirl.
Yeah.
I think Kvaratskhelia, I don't know, is it like ice in his veins or something that he does with his arm something down?
Like yeah.
I think I like that one. What's sticking out to you?
I think Barcola does something sometimes where he does the guns, the shooting off the gun. Although we're not really supposed to encourage usage of firearms, but it works for him.
Him and Gonzalo Ramos, they do a pistol thing. Yeah.
Well, Gonzalo Ramos with the pistolero.
Yes.
Achraf Hakimi with the penguin.
Yes. Oh my goodness, I forgot about the penguin. Yeah, Doué did like the kind of like the Cole Palmer, like he's cold or something.
But I don't think he doesn't quite have one yet. I'm waiting to see when he finally sort of comes up with one. Really, that becomes his signature. I don't think he really has one yet.
Didn't he copy Neymar at some point? He had like his hands. He did something.
Yeah, he did a Neymar homage.
Yes. So we can throw him in there, but he's won an award. So of these, Mark, who do you think is the? Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. For the record, just so some of you, if you've joined us after the year 2017, Blaise Matuidi used to do something called the Charo.
Yeah, and
it was very cool, and it was very much his. And it was the best PSG celebration I think ever. I think it's like the best one anyone's ever done.
Agreed.
So I'm going to give it to, just because I think it's also the João Neves, just because it's something he does for his girlfriend or something. He does the 1-2 and then the sort of swipe with his finger when he like that's kind of a cool one that he has. I think it's between Vitinha and Achraf with the penguin. I think Vitinha's just it's so stupid that it works. Like it's so stupid it works. Like who would?
It's not more stupid than the penguin. The penguin is stupid, but I like it because of how stupid it is.
Yeah, but like to me, it's like with Vitinha, it's like why would he do? Does he ever explained it? Why he twirls the little headband in his? It's just it involves props. He scored worldies and done it after that.
There's even a Reddit thread where they want EA Sports to put the celebration into the game.
Yeah,
they want to be able to do that. For me, I think it's got to be that because it is a prop. It's unique. It's just cool. It's like his thing. No one else does it. It's his thing. I think you give it to him. I've seen the penguin dance. It's fine. It's cute. I like it. But for me, the best goal celebration that PSG has right now is the Vitinha headband twirl. You got to come up with a better name for it than that, though.
Yeah, I don't know if he has it. I don't think he even has a name for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna look and see if he's ever explained where that came from. It is a good one. All right, Mark, we don't have too many categories left. What do we've got left here?
I think we're down to the big one.
The big one. All right, this is We don't have a drum roll or anything, but this is the George Weah MVP of 2025. Now, it's not necessarily the best player of the year or who has scored the most goals, but who is the most valuable? Who impacts the team in a way that no one else can? This is a very kind of American thing, MVP. We don't do Ballon d'Ors or anything like that. But basically think about if you took that player out of the team, would they crumble or could it function as it would if he were there? Mark, is there any more preface that you need to add to what MVP, what this award means?
So the reason we're naming it after George Weah is because he was the first sort of PSG player, quote unquote, to win the Ballon d'Or, right? So that's why he gets that, although he won it, he was partly in another place, whatever. He part of the reason he won the Ballon d'Or is because of how he played at PSG in 1994.
Exactly.
In 95. So that's why it's named after George Weah. And obviously we couldn't name it after the other guy who's the leading goal scorer because we're not going to do that.
No.
So it's going to be. We wanted it to be. We wanted it to be a 90s PSG guy because we didn't. You want to have that nod to the history. So it's either going to be Weah or Rai.
And Weah's never sued the club, so it felt right. So
I'm going to say let's go with our nominees, and this is going to be. I think there's really 4 nominees, I think, legitimately.
I think it's fair. Yeah.
I think Dembele, obviously. Vitinha, obviously. Nuno Mendes, Achraf Hakimi. I think the outside, if we're going to expand the list, I think Donnarumma gets an honorable mention for how well he played in the second half of that year. Beginning, I think he gets an honorable mention. I think William Pacho gets an honorable mention. I think he's going to be a player that climbs up this list as the years go, and I think he'll be in the running in future years. Doué, I didn't think was ready yet, quite ready for that. Kvaratskhelia had great moments, is a great player, but I don't think he's in that sort of top echelon quite yet of guys. Neves too young, Fabian more of a role player. So I really think it's those 4. Do you have any issue with those 4?
No issues with those top 4. You have my MVP in there, so I'm good with that list. I like the honorable mentions with Pacho and Donnarumma. Absolutely need to give them a shout out, but I'm happy with the top 4.
Okay, so let's talk. I want to talk about each of the 4, but let's talk about. I know who yours is. I know who mine is. So let's talk about. Well, actually, do I know who yours is?
I'm not wavering. I'll go ahead and give mine, and then you give yours, and then we'll talk about all of them. For me,
okay. So your nominee is who? Your nominee is who?
My nominee would be Nuno Mendes. And I thought a lot about this. I mean, there are several names that came immediately to mind, and any of these 4, I think, wouldn't be wrong if you went with them. I mean, you said it before on this podcast that Nuno Mendes might go down as the best left back of all time, and I think he's very much on that trajectory. The way that he can defend the best attackers in Europe while also simultaneously being a dangerous goal-scoring threat is so unique in his ability that that I just think he really is what is one of the keys in PSG and make them so lethal against teams. And I think that, you could say Achraf Hakimi, and I would have no issues with that, but I think Nuno Mendes, he's younger. I think he's just as talented. And I think the position that he plays, there is no backup for him. I mean, you could put Lucas Hernandez in, but he's going full WWE. He's taking that brand partnership a little too seriously. Yeah. We don't have a left back. At least with Hakimi, we could put Warren Zaire-Emery in. And he's already won an award, as we previously talked about. He's been playing really well. Nuno Mendes is so critical to what we do that for me, he would be the George Weah MVP of 2025. So that's my choice. Who is your choice?
See, I think I think that would be controversial because
it's what I do around here.
Yeah, like if I were to rank them, I would put Mendes 4th. out of those four.
Ooh, okay.
I think it's really a 3-horse race between Dembele, Vitinha, and Hakimi, and I waver on this too, because I think Ousmane Dembele was clearly their best player, right? I think in terms of impacting the game in the ways that matter, which is putting the ball in the back of the net, they don't win the Champions League without him. Obviously, they don't win without any of these guys, but the goals really do show up for him, and it's weird to have an award show for PSG in 2025 and not give Ousmane Dembele an award. That just seems weird, right? Like if we again, executive decision, if we're going to have the Angel Di Maria Attacking Player of the Year award, it's Ousmane Dembele, hands down, no doubt, right?
Yeah.
But I've seen PSG function without Ousmane Dembele. Not as well, but I've seen them function. And
Agree.
Achraf is so critical to what they do, but I think it sort of belies the point when Warren Zaire-Emery can come in and do a decent enough job where you're not falling off a cliff if he's gone. To me, I think I would go with Vitinha, because it's like all these other guys have been out, right? It's so, in a weird way, it almost becomes like default, right? Vitinha has been the constant from January to now, right? He's the only one of them that hasn't suffered some kind of major injury that's kept them out for a decent length of time.
You better knock on some wood or something.
Yeah, I know. But like, he to me is the identity of what PSG are, right? Or what they are, right? He's the sort of extension of Lucho. You know, the Luis Enrique Award for Best Coach goes to Luis Enrique, by the way.
Naturally, yes.
He's the extension of Luis Enrique. To me, PSG don't function the way they are able to function unless Vitinha is out there. And we can make the argument, and I don't think it's an argument. I think he has succeeded Luka Modric as the best midfielder in the world, right? Like, we talk about who are the best midfielders in the world, and there was a time when it was N'Golo Kante, or Paul Pogba, or Luka Modric, or before that, Iniesta, or Xavi. Like, Vitinha is in that category of great. And he's, I think, the best player PSG have, sort of, like, I think Achraf is the best right back in the world, but I think it is at least a debate. I don't think it's a debate when it comes to Vitinha. I think he's the best midfielder in the world.
Is there a debate with best left back in the world? Because I don't think there is. I think it is Nuno Mendes.
Yeah, but I think when we're comparing the two, I think the consistency of Vitinha over the course of the season, I think with Mendes, sometimes he and again, we're really nitpicking here. So we're not trying to, like, when we get into this kind of category, we're going to nitpick a little bit. I think with Nuno, there are games where he looks like the best player to ever play the game. And then there's games where he's just sort of existing. And he's just sort of there, right? I think with Vitinha, he has to play at such a high level every game that, and it really hasn't dropped off really any bit, right? Like, he's the one guy that has sort of maintained the level from beginning to end. And I think that's what puts him over the top. It would have been Dembele if Dembele were playing in September, October, November, which he really hasn't, right? He's been out half the year, basically. And that's why I would give it to Vitinha. And I think this is one of those where we put it up to a poll and we see who wins, right?
I have a feeling that Vitinha probably would win. I mean, for all the reasons you just outlined, I think for me, the reason I go Nuno Mendes is I think a midfield where you have João Neves and Fabian Ruiz, and you throw maybe Kang-In or Zaire-Emery, that's still a really good midfield. If you take Nuno Mendes out, the level and quality that PSG can then put in at left back is such a dramatic drop. That is why, for me, it has got to be Nuno Mendes. We have no replacement that is anywhere near him. If he's not in there, it changes fundamentally how PSG can play on that left-hand side. And keep in mind, on that left-hand side, he's got Kvara or Bradley Barcola. There's several different attackers he's got to work with on that side. So that's why for me. But I like your idea is maybe we put this out there. We've made our arguments, and then we open up to a poll. Yeah. And see what people, and we'll award it to whoever gets the most votes in 24, 48 hours.
I agree. I think that makes sense.
I like that. Okay. Well, fantastic, Mark. We got through all of our categories and we just now hit an hour. So I thought that was pretty good. Any final words before we get out of here?
No, I think I think it was a magical year. We'll never forget it. We're just looking forward to 2026. We'll see if this club can continue the success and win more, right? That's what it's about. It's about, they got the one, right? And the one is hard enough. Now it's about, can they do it again? Can we get, 3 Champions League semifinals in 5 years, 2 finals in 5 years, 1 trophy in that time? Can they continue the success? And can we, truly assert dominance, right? And we'll see if they can do it again, right? It may not even be this year. It might be next year. But this club is poised to be successful. So, it's going to be exciting.
This is where you build. This is where you build legacy, and you start adding some stars to the badge. So let's go on a run. We've got the best midfielder, the best left back, the best right back, the best manager in the game. Let's go and win a few of these things in a row. So looking forward to 2026. Congratulations to all of our recipients. Thanks to all of our sponsors and all of that. And Mark, thank you to you for coming on and helping me with this little award show. Really appreciate it. Thank you all out there for listening and subscribing. We really appreciate your support. We're going to have a lot more on all things PSG, but until next time.
Au revoir for now.